We are looking at how to do your edits on the shadows pictures that you did as a group. You're going to play with these in Photoshop. Start in Lightroom as you always do. Do your standard cropping and all your basic edits to get good tone range, and then it's Command E to go from Lightroom to Photoshop. And once I'm in Photoshop, I need to do a couple of things. So first off, I am going to hit Command J 4 times to make multiple copies of this so I can make like a grid or a checkerboard or a pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The background layer we're leaving alone. So it was Command J 4 times. Next thing, we've not done this as a group before. I need to make my background bigger. So I need to go to Image, Canvas Size. And I'm going to double the height and the width. These arrows imply where I would sort of anchor my top copy. So I'm going to anchor it in the upper right corner. And then 12.6 times 2 is, I believe, 25.2. 25.2. And hit OK. If yours comes up as pixels, you just click on the little drop down arrow and change it to inches. All right, so now I have an image that's way too big to fit on my screen. So we go View and Fit on Screen, and now we're there. Okay, so now I have my copies in their right places. I'm going to be using Move Tool, so let's put them in the right places. So top layer is now going to go down to here, and then I'm going to name it as lower left. Good to go. Next copy is going to be called upper left. And I'm just using the Move tool. Lower right. And layer 1 is upper right. Okay, this next part, so everything is going in the same direction. And what I actually would like to do is look at flipping and transforming these shapes so that they create like a pattern, kind of like the way you were making patterns inside of the body shape you worked with. So I'm going to start with upper right, or excuse me, upper left. Lower left is exactly how I want it. I like the way that this cup is in the upper corner, kind of a rule of thirds thing, and then these squiggly lines are coming out from there. So I'm going to go to upper left first, edit, transform, and flip it. And it's going to flip vertical. Lower right, edit, transform. This kid needs to just flip horizontal. Upper right, I think, needs 2 flips. Vertical, and then horizontal. So now I have something that's like looking at the inside of a kaleidoscope or like a snowflake sort of pattern. It's symmetrical on the X and the Y axis. So now I need to look at tone range, and I need to look at what sort of options I have to create some variation and some pattern. So I'm going to start on the lower left, and I want to turn this lower left into negative tone, so it's the reverse. So I click lower left, I go to the adjustment layers, and I hit curves. And what I do with curves is going to affect the entire photo at first, but no big deal. So I know that I want to make that sort of like a negative pattern. So the tones are all flipped. So I can either push and pull on the curve myself, or you'll see that there's also, choices up here that you can play with. All right. And then I'm just going to pull on the curve a little bit to darken some things up and brighten a couple areas. What I'm really focusing all of my interest on is what's happening with these lines right here. Now, I only want this negative effect to happen to the lower left corner. So I need to do what's called a clipping mask so that the computer knows to clip or attach this effect to the layer below it only. So I go to this menu and create clipping mask. And now that is only happening in that corner. So I'm going to do it directly across. So go to upper right, same behaviors. Click upper right, click adjustment layers, go to curves, make a negative image, match my tones again so it's just a little bit darker. It's about the same. And then same thing. If you are a keyboard shortcut person, it's Option Command G gives you your clipping mask. All right, so now I have 2 negative corners, 2 positive corners, building a pattern. Now the next thing for me to deal with is that in the very center of my composition, where these negative and positive corners are meeting, there's a real lack of detail. The center is very, very bright, and it takes my eye away from these radiating shadow patterns. So I need to deal with that. And I will do that like this. I'm going to go back to my unedited. I'm going to go back to my positive corner, so lower right and upper left. And I'm going to Command J, that kid. And so now I have a copy of it, and I'm going to slide it over. Now see how it's sliding under? No big deal. Just drag it all the way to the top. That's interesting. Should be going, oh, I'm not all the way at the top, that's why. Keep going. Keep going. And this one, because of the way I dragged it, it's got a clipping mask, so I need to undo that clipping mask. Okay, here we go. Now it's there. Let's get the orientation correct. And what I'm going to do at this point is play with opacity. And when my opacity goes down right now, that looks like trash. But I'm going to start looking at blending layers and what kind of patterns and designs and things are happening. I liked color burn when we were in class. I dropped down some more. That, not quite right. What happens if I keep it on normal? Don't like normal. Nobody should like normal. Just kidding. Color dodge. Ooh, color dodge is kind of cool because I like what it's doing to the edges of the shadows. Other thing I can do as well is put like a, ooh, I like that. I like the threshold thing. It's a little intense though. Take threshold off. I can also look at posterize. Ooh, I like posterize a lot. I really like that because it looks like it's a screen printed 60s poster. So, okay, all I got to do is one more time. I'm going to go to upper left. I'm going to Command J that kid. I'm going to run it up here. I'm going to move upper left like that. I'm going to turn off posterize for the moment because I want the effect to happen at the very end. Transform. Flip horizontal. And I think we did color dodge at a low percentage. Right about in there, it's pretty close. Now I'm going to turn on posterize. I like that. That's cool. I need to tinker up here with a little bit more because these two, their settings are not exactly correct. But I like the textures that I'm getting, the way the values are breaking up. So that's your jam. Okay? Ask me for questions.